All right, Chattanooga, we are back here for one more beautiful day here at WPTP Radio 100.1 FM. And yes, this is probably the last Saturday in Black History Month. And you all know I'm trying to do my black Afghan, whatever you want to call it. You can't see my queen, but anyway, she's on there. And so we're excited about this month. We've done a whole lot of great and wonderful things. We had a lot of people on the show. We've showcased a lot of, I call them legends in Black history on our show. And so I just want to say kudos. If you didn't get a chance to come on our show, we are always open for you. If you'd like to come on the show, just hit us up and we'll get you on here and we'll showcase you too. We're very excited about the Chattanooga African American Educational and Heritage Museum that we're going to be opening this summer. We are just excited about all of the things that are pouring in, all of the art, all of the artifacts that people are donating to our Heritage Museum. And yes, we have a teacher that is going to be offering Black history right here as a part of the Educational and Heritage Museum. So we're real excited about Mr. Bryson. You all may know him. He's an amazing teacher. He's been teaching Black history for a long, long time. And we're just blessed to have him. And so I just want to say to all of you that have supported Alton Park Development Corporation and all the things that we do and have done since 1998, we thank you. We thank you for being a part of our family, and we thank you for continuing to support everything that we do. You can see that we have grown, and we're continuing to, I call it evolve. I don't not revolve, but evolve. And so we're creating just great things every day for our community. And yes, today, we have the none other most, I call, when we talk about the Crutchfield family, I know you all know Crutchfield when you hear that name. This is Missy Crutchfield, the daughter of Ward Crutchfield, that we have today on our show. And yes, she's a sister to me. I've known her for more than 20 years, yes, and we have done so many great things. We'll talk about a little of that, but she's here today because she's running for school board representative in District 4. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Woods.
Yes. Yes. Kudos to all of you brave people that want to get in the school system and deal with the kids and all the other stuff that goes with that.
Yeah.
So, Missy, tell me, what is going on with you? Tell us a little bit about you first, because some people may or may not know who don't know the Crutchfield, but for those who don't know, give us a little background about you and then lead us up into why you have taken this task on to run for school board rep.
Sure. I also want to say that this amazing woman to my left is Nicole McDermott, who is an entrepreneur and interior design. She works with military, she and her husband, but she's also stepped up to be my campaign manager. I know. Yes. But you gotta give love to the people.
Just stay out of
it too. No. I'm good. Everybody's important when you're sitting at this table. Right? Everybody's important here at WPTP.
Amen, sister.
Welcome, sister.
So yeah. So we're gonna have fun. Nicole will be chiming in whenever you feel I'm talking too much. Just pull this thing away. Oops, that was the water bottle away from me. Yeah. But my father, yes, you started out, you led with that Senator Crutchfield, and he passed in 2016. But I do feel he had a good life.
He did.
I mean, I think we need to realize that we all have an end point. We have an amazing opportunity. We're born, and hopefully we find those moments, those people, those mentors, those opportunities.
Absolutely.
You've connected so many young people to you and inspired them. You've been a mentor. You've been an activator. You've lifted up and empowered so many young girls and women and young men. Yes. I've seen it through the years here. And your undying, unflinching commitment to community.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. And I love you for that and so much more.
I love you more.
It's a fan club here. And my father did so much during his career that as Senate Majority Leader, and before when he started out as a statesman in the I guess the mid 1950s, before I was born. And then just really, really was activated and excited and wanted to make the difference in oppressed communities and marginalized communities.
Yes.
And back then, during the pre and civil rights movement and all of the things that were happening then, he just felt his calling to lift up oppressed peoples, and
Yes.
particularly in the African American community. So that's what I grew up with when I would
Yes.
come home in those communities, seeing my father, listening to him. So this was the impressionable moments for me as a human being, as a young girl, understanding the calling that we have. Each of us have a calling. How are we going to plug in our purpose and our passion
I
to make
always
a
call her
difference?
my honorary Black Queen sister,
I'll
because
take
of
it.
everything that she and her family has done in the oppressed communities, which includes, African Americans and poor whites. It doesn't
Yes,
matter.
yes,
They have been there in the struggle with all of
yes,
these individuals that needed help. And
yes,
so she grew up. You grew up
yeah,
in that time, and you
yeah,
saw your dad,
yeah.
and you became a part, because I know what you've been doing outside of what your dad. And we talking about Daddy Crutchfield, but y'all have not seen daughter Missy and all the stuff that she has done all over the world, not just here
Oh,
locally. But we're gonna talk about Gandhi and all that
I
other
love you.
stuff.
Thank you.
But come on, bring it back to you right
Ok-
here in this community. So I know that you've done a whole lot in the school
Okay.
system. Tell them about what you've done in the school system already.
Okay. So I spent um, 10 years working at Chattanooga State, and I ended up leaving as a vice president. I had an incredible experience there, very empowering, working for a strong visionary leader, Dr. Jim Catanzaro, during that time. And then Bill Stacy at UTC had been trying to recruit me for 2 or 3 years, and I didn't feel like I was ready. When I was ready, I'm like, okay, we'll come. And I was honored also to work for Dr. Stacy at UTC, assisting him and helping to bring some of the things, some of my you know assets that I'm a connector, so I see opportunities.
Yes.
I like to pull media together. We pulled together a magazine there. We ran a magazine at Chattanooga State, so I look outside the box and see possibilities for partners, instead of looking at, which is when I went to work for Mayor Littlefield and created the Department of Education, Arts, and Culture. He named the department. Then he's like, Missy, what are you going to do? I realized that when you have a new department, you don't have a lot of line items. You don't have a big budget. So as a connector, I thought it was an amazing opportunity for me, so I could see the things in other departments that we could connect together to build, um, build more momentum and connect more resources and really
Woo.
generate into the communities in a deeper way. Like, for
Yes.
example,
Mhm.
the rec centers didn't have any computers. And at the time, now this is like 15 years ago at the
I
time,
remember that.
yeah, kids had to have access to technology. White kids, black kids, poor kids whose parents were working 2, 3 jobs just to put food on the table,
And
pay the
couldn't
bills.
afford a laptop and a
Right.
computer or the internet to cost the bill for the internet.
Exactly. So
Yes.
I saw the opportunity, but nobody had any money to buy computers. I'm like, that's crazy. Okay, I'm going to find a way to bring computers in. I know that once you bring something in, and once it proves itself, then the next fiscal year they'll put a
Yes.
budget in, which is what happened. So we approached several companies and got computers donated, because my team knew that every couple of years most companies have to get new computers
Yes.
because they have to stay up with the challenges. So what happens to those computers? They get thrown away, they get given away.
Mhm.
We're like, you give them to our rec centers, you get the write-off, you get to be the hero for the kids, and we'll throw you a lot of love in the media, et cetera, et cetera. It was a tremendous
Oh,
success.
wonderful. What a wonderful story. What a
Yeah.
wonderful story.
And that's one of many stories. So I felt like we were the department, and with our successes, we got to run the civic facilities. And then Councilman Benson, rest his soul, when he was had Heritage Park and Heritage House, when they renovated it, he said, I want Missy's department to have Heritage House, because he loved the kind of cultural programs and the
Yes.
way we were connecting the community and really, really bringing these facilities to life. So worked a lot with Larry Zender and Parks and Rec, a lot with other centers. We inherited the senior center at Eastgate, which I'm
Okay.
very sad that they ended that
I
contract
know.
at
So you
Eastgate.
were in on that initial
Yeah,
forming of that.
when it was just struggling, and then I went in and negotiated free leases at Eastgate Mall, and we expanded. We got not just recognition and awards in Tennessee, we got some recognitions in the country, and that center was thriving. So I'm hoping to stay on the city, and hopefully they will find a way. I understand they are making a commitment to have another senior center, but we
Yes.
don't need to split Glenwood and have senior programming and kids programming. Senior centers need their own center. Glenwood needs to have
Yes.
more opportunities, but especially in the summer, and just opportunities for kids. We got to get them off the streets, get them in safe centers, keep them protected, homework help, mentors, so that they're not driving around. Because what's happened since then is that there's been some shootings. We were talking about that at the Glenwood meeting recently, and Notre Dame and the Glenwood
Right.
Center, and some drive-by stuff. So when we have the kids engaged and safe in centers, in spaces where they're getting homework help, where they're finding hope and opportunity, that's how you turn a community around. That's how you change the trajectory. That's how you reduce violence and gang involvement. You have incredible partners and programs and centers, and I'd love to see more faith-based spaces. And I will be reaching out to some partners in the near future, and just surrounding our kids in this district and beyond, hopefully inspiring beyond, because
Right.
these lines are imaginary.
Yes.
I
Yes.
won't come to Alton Park, whether it's my district or not. And
Well, they redraw the lines every so many years, 10
Yeah.
years or so. So today you're in this area,
That's true.
tomorrow or 10 years from now, you're in got a whole new set of schools. It's not even the ones you were before.
That's true.
So I'm interested now. You got people listening out there right now, and some people don't know what you've done. I mean, you gave us a good history there. There's tons more that she's done, but those that are listening, Missy, tell them why you would be the perfect person for the kids in this district, and not just this district, because I heard you just say that you go outside your district. But why do they need to consider you? Because we're not going to call any names or anything,
Right.
because but why is it that you would be the perfect person? Because I keep it real on WPTP. I'm just gonna keep it real.
She does.
And I'm too old to worry about what somebody think or say. I don't care. There are people in this district. This is a predominantly Black school district in terms of the schools. Name the schools real quick for our listeners.
Okay, we've got CSAS, Upper, Lower Orchard, Knob, Middle, and Elementary School. My voice is a little hoarse. Sorry, I've been dealing with allergies. We got Chattanooga State High School. We got Virtual School. We got STEM School. We got Hardy and Washington Alternative School, Tommy Brown Academy, Classical Studies, and construction. The construction school, career center.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm really excited about all of them, but that construction school, that's got so much potential.
Yes.
And
Okay.
these kids, they're going to be making more money than doctors and lawyers. And I'm just,
for all. Okay. So, I'm going to hit it hard.
Yeah.
Because, I'm going to keep us focused here. For all of the people that are saying, we need somebody, and, it always boils down to this. We just want somebody Black. We just want somebody Black. It just needs to be a Black person. Answer that question. It needs to be a Black. It needs to be a Black person. I don't care which. I don't care. It needs to be a Black person. Answer. Look at the camera and tell people why it don't matter what color you are, and why the qualifications and the experience behind what you've already done, and why that gives you the edge over your opponent as you all go to the polls and you're voting and you're thinking. Erase that idea out of their mind that it needs to be a Black woman or a Black male, whatever. Why should I vote for you? I'm looking at, it's 7, 9, how many members is it now on the school board?
11.
It's 11 on the school board?
11. They added his district.
11.
Joe Black's district.
And there are 10 white folk on the school board. One's Carissa Moses. Is there another Black person?
No.
One Black person, one Black woman on the school board. And here you come along, the election is open, and they're saying, we just need another Black person. Okay. Now, you know me. I'm judiciously fair, and I look at quality and I look at experience, even when I'm hiring people. I have probably the most DEI, most diverse equity and inclusion staff in the dental profession. But for those who are out there and they got to go to the polls, I think next week is the last week
The
for early
27th,
vote.
the 27th, yeah, I think
And
it's
then
Thursday.
elections on March the 5th. Correct?
Correct.
There are people out there saying we just need a black person. They got 10 white folks. That's enough. We need a black person. I don't care. I don't care. Talk to those people out there and
Okay.
convince those people why it don't matter. Why you are the right person for this position. Because I'm not sure they convinced. Some people don't even know what a school board representative do, what their job
Right.
is, number one. They don't understand how important connections is when you're trying to get things done.
That's true.
They don't understand that. And you have those connections, you have that experience. So I want you to convince all them folk out there, black and white. I'm mostly talking to black folks because they're sitting out there talking about we just need a black person. I don't care. We just need a black person. We ain't got 10. We got 10 white folks. There ain't but one black person, and she up there by herself, and she losing every battle that she's proposing. Talk to them, Missy. Talk to them.
You have thrown a lot at me to answer, and I will do the best
Do
I
the best
can.
that you can. Do the
And
best that you can. Do the best that you can.
First off, I want to say I actually like my opponent. I like my opponent.
And I like her too.
I know you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's get past that. Let's get to the core of, and this is interesting because I find myself more and more talking to people about this at the end of the conversation.
Good.
They agree with us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're at a point now where we've got to look at who represents our values the best.
Okay. Talk about those values.
It's about values. It's about passion. So you can look at, there's a lot of things that my opponent and I have in common. I spoke to Glenwood and mentioned this. I said, and we're both Democrats, but for me, we need to separate why I'm the best candidate for this.
That's what I want to hear.
And number one, I am an activist. A lot of people may not know that. So my father sparked that flame when I was a child. And I remember being in New York, and he took me to New York. It was maybe the only trip that we ever took outside of Chattanooga, because he was just so committed to Chattanooga and Hamilton County, Nashville. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I'm 8 years old, and the Black Panthers were protesting in the park in New York City, and Angela Davis had been incarcerated. Mm-hmm. And I'm there in New York, Caucasian little girl with my dad, but this is my dad who was so committed and understood what the Black Panthers stood for and knew what Angela Davis was doing and had done, and this whole thing. So I didn't know that many years later I was going to live in New York, but this was one of those moments as a young girl where your father is going to make that impression on you, that impressionable moment that will carry with me through the rest of my life. And he said, sweetheart, there's nobody in Harlem to take care of the African-American people. The Black Panthers are doing what other people won't do. He explained to me that when people have to come together to take care of themselves, when when dominant culture, or, whatever patriarchal culture, and that this is what's going on, the healthcare services, the protection, the community, and they're getting a bad name because of this. And then teaching me about the civil rights movement and the journey of that. And so later, when I decided to make my Twitter name, and the park, they were saying, sisters, free our sister, free our sister. So years later, when I had my handle for social media at Sisters Speak Out, when I went to the Jewish Voice for Peace meeting, working as human rights activist, I'm a human rights activist as well as animal rights, climate
justice. Y'all hear that? This woman is a human rights activist, a civil rights activist, okay, a people's activist. Okay, come on.
Climate justice, yeah. So Angela Davis had graduated from Brandeis, and she was invited to speak in Baltimore several years ago at the Jewish Voice for Peace meeting, talking about Palestine. And I was very proud of her when she came to Chattanooga a couple of years ago and spoke. She also mentioned the importance of standing up against apartheid states and against oppression globally. And now we're looking at what's happening in Palestine, and we're looking at, is this genocide in Gaza? Is this, because when you look at the facts, so I've been speaking out about that, and the children killed, 70% of the people that are being harmed in Gaza. We're looking at 30,000 people killed and harmed, our children, women and children. Yeah. So that's a whole other conversation. But so when I started the when she hugged me and I shared that story. And I'm like, this is what I'm wired for. This is what connects my heart. This is when I realize my purpose and my passion is to help people, to help living things on this planet, to help, climate justice. It's just, we're all connected. We all breathe the same air. We all drink the same water. We all live downstream. We all cross each other's neighborhoods, shop at the same stores. We all have to learn to get along. We are one human family on this planet. It's that simple. Why do we have to complicate it? So my values are lifting up the oppressed, fighting bullies. When I worked for Mayor Littlefield in Chattanooga, Tennessee, we let out 15 plus years ago, we let out the whole conversation about bullying in Chattanooga.
Oh, wow.
I had created a film commission, and we brought in a family that had their son had committed suicide in North Georgia, Tina and David Long, and the movie was called The Bullying Movie. We brought together United Way and Allied Arts Now Arts Build together to have a summit connecting the dots, exploring arts and social issues, which included arts and racism, arts and healing, arts and community, arts and literacy, and trying to find partners, arts agencies, marrying together with United Way agencies and finding centers and spaces across town to be able to take your work where there's grants available to pay artists. We know when we use the arts, we learn faster and retain longer. Why wouldn't we use them in everything? Math, science, use creativity. Einstein said imagination is more important than knowledge. The arts are the key to imagination. Imagination is key to hope and purpose and fulfillment and opportunity. Now, let me bring it back to our schools. So from my career in higher education, from a vice president at Chattanooga State to working for the chancellor at UTC to creating the Department of Education, Arts, and Culture, 8 years with the city, learning the importance of education, the importance of partnerships, the importance of connecting to spaces and leveraging resources so that we can lift up all people. The rising tide lifts all ships. So using what I learned at the city, and a lot of the things that I did were unfinished business. So what I see now is an opportunity for me as an activist. I'm used to using my voice. This is what excites me, to fight.
And that's why her voice is hoarse today. She's using that voice every time she goes out. I love it. I love it, girl.
So I want to
use
fight
that voice.
Yes, ma'am. I want to fight fight against injustice. I want to empower people to feel excited about speaking up, speaking truth to power, and getting involved. Too many people are feeling silent. They're feeling isolated. They're feeling alone. So no matter what color, what diversity, what culture we are, we need to come together with the people who think, who share the same values, who are working hard to lift up the oppressed, and forget about anything else except joining together and creating a colorful, amazing, imaginative community that is dedicated 100% to saving our kids, to reducing violence, to volunteering and empowering people to go inside schools and outside so that these kids have homework help. They have mentor partnership opportunities. We've got a lot of really great stuff happening already, but we can leverage this. And this is one of my strengths. I'm looking around, I'm seeing these and meeting these wonderful people. I'm like, I want to share what you're doing. Like chain breakers.
Yes.
Really proud of them. Like the centers in my district. I'm loving what's happening at Avondale, what's happening at Carver and East Chattanooga Rec. But connecting them together and finding ways to build on assets and resources
that we already have.
You want someone who is passionate, who's an activist, who's going to reach out and roll up her sleeves and work and bring in more people. I actually have ideas about increasing diversity as well, that in the big picture, in the big scheme of things, is gonna. I'm really, really excited. I want to roll out this. Can't share it right now, but I'm thinking about these things, these ways to put together a plethora of connections that can support and help bring the kind of diversity that we need.
Okay, so I got a tough question for you, because like I'm gonna go back to what I said, and I love you, but I got to do this, because if I don't do this, they're gonna say that interview we didn't get nothing out of that.
Okay,
you have 10 white male and female on the school board, and I'm not gonna cast any of them out as saying that they don't really care about the poor or whatever, or these children who are in disadvantaged school situations or whatever. And then you got the county commissioners as well. How are you? They ain't been able to do it all these years, and here you come.
Right.
How are you going to make policies or suggest policies and get your people behind you, because you got them,
right,
to make changes here at the local level? Forget the state level,
right,
and the national or federal level. I'm talking about right here in District 4.
Yes.
With 10 people 10 people who don't look like these little poor black children. How are you going to convince them to do the things that you're talking about doing, which is all wonderful and warm and bubbly,
Right.
and it seems so right to think to do? How are you going to convince them to join with you? What
Well,
are you going to do?
I've done the work. So
Oh, she said she's
the
done the work, y'all. Okay,
the
what have
the
you done? Come
well,
on, tell us.
from creating opportunities and creating um, uh, uh, outcomes from Chattanooga State to UTC publications, marketing programs to the city, connections and rec centers to after work, or even the last year that I was at the city working with Mahatma Gandhi's grandson, bringing him to Chattanooga, working at visiting centers and schools across Chattanooga, from Howard to Washington Alternative School to
So you've been in the
CSAS
schools.
to
You've been in the
senior.
schools.
I've been in the
You've
schools.
been
I've
in the
been in the rec
schools.
centers, and now when I'm going back, the exciting thing is some people are like, "Yeah, where have you been for the last few years?" I've been working internationally as an activist, meeting people at the feet of
Woo, we
masters,
need
Mahatma
that.
Gandhi,
We need
spending
that.
time in South Africa,
Mm,
understanding the plight of Mandela and of Gandhi in South Africa, visiting
mm-hmm.
Sharpeville, Soweto, and
Wait a
spending
minute, you
time
been to
with it.
Africa, girl? Wait a
Yes,
minute, y'all. Hold up. Wait a minute. Pause. This woman been to Africa, studying Africa, Gandhi, and who else was it?
Mandela.
Mandela, trying to educate herself on how this information could be utilized to come back home
The
to
power of
make the
nonviolence.
power of nonviolence and how we could benefit from it. And y'all know we got violence spewing all over this country, and Chattanooga is not exempt from this violence. We need someone. I'm doing an endorsement. Let me wait a minute. Hold up. Let me do a disclaimer. Nothing that I'm saying today, in any kind of way, promotes or endorses any candidate. Okay.
Right. That's right.
WPTP does not
No,
endorse anyone. Y'all got that? So don't be starting that with me,
that's
because I
right.
can fight. Don't start. Okay. So you've been on this life journey, I would say,
Yes.
learning about peace,
Yes.
learning about, or connecting the dots of people. You've met some powerful and amazing people
Yes.
all over the world, not just in
Yes.
this country, all over this world. And those dots you can connect.
Yes.
And I guarantee you, if you know, like I know, sometimes it ain't what you know, it's who you know.
It's all about relationships.
And relationships that you build, and your ability to take those experiences
Yes.
and turn it into something great and powerful for the good of mankind.
Yes.
That's what you have.
Yes.
As a candidate in you. I'm seeing that.
Yes.
I'm seeing that. And that's not an official endorsement for me on this radio or television or anything. I'm just promoting what you have done.
Right.
What you have done. And anybody that wants to come on and talk about anything else anytime they want, come on with it. You can come right on this station. But right now, Missy's at the table. This is her hour. And I'm trying to help people understand why, just because you're a white girl, okay, and people say you privileged,
Sure.
and you can't possibly understand black folk and what black children go through every day, the lack of, all the poverty stricken situations that they have to deal with, and the environment that they live in. You're a white girl, you're privileged, you don't understand nothing about that. What you know about that? How can you come in as a school board representative in this black district and help these black children? And they're not all black. You got Hispanics, you have
Yes. We have a
white
large.
folk and black folk. But they'll want to say this is a poor black district because you've got Orchard Knob. Name them again: Orchard Knob,
Hardy, Orchard Knob, Middle Elementary,
Hardy
Hardy,
Elementary, and what are the other
Brown,
ones?
Brown.
Three big major black,
Mhm.
predominantly black
Mhm.
schools. I'm looking at you. You're a privileged white girl. I know you though. I know you though. She don't live like a privileged white girl,
No.
but she knows. She understands. I've known her for more than 20 years, probably 30.
Yeah.
But they don't know you like I know you. You know what I'm saying? They ain't been there with you when we prayed out here in Alton Park with Gandhi's
And we had
grandson.
him. Yes,
They
he
don't
spent
know about
a lot
all
of
of
time
those
here.
days when we
Yes.
brought the king from Africa to Chattanooga,
That's
and we
right.
had him visiting Macaulay,
Macaulay.
and yes,
Yes.
and praying with those kids. And yes, we went to Washington Alternative School.
Yes.
You know, they don't
Several
know.
times.
Yes, they don't know about those stories that you created here in
So
Chattanooga.
here's the thing, to your point, and
Talk
you
to us.
and I love you, and you're making the point that people want to know. You keep bringing
Yes.
it back to privilege. So here's the thing with me. I don't feel like I live in privilege, but I am.
You're
I am.
white.
I'm white.
So it don't
Yeah.
matter what you say.
But here's the thing. Gotcha. Here's the thing is that, and I have always done this, that I feel like whenever I see an injustice and can use my privilege, whatever I have,
there
my
you go. Say it,
assets,
girl.
my
Say
resources
it, sister.
to step up and make
Say
a
it,
difference, then
sister.
I do.
Say it.
Then I do. I had brought Gandhi to Chattanooga because I was able to work together with the city, with the community to bring him, and with the county to bring him here, to raise the funds, to bring him here and tour around. He had no interest whatsoever in speaking to wealthy groups. He had an interest in speaking because he was continuing his grandfather's legacy, which was helping the oppressed, lifting up. So we have a wonderful donation from Rico Monuments. Manny Rico was a councilman then, and I was just driving through West Side on Grove Street, and by the church there,
Yes.
there's a beautiful bench that recognizes Gandhi's visit.
Wow.
Yes, there.
I got to do something like that because he came here to Alton Park. Remember
Yes,
that?
yes.
We prayed.
We need to have that.
Right outside. I got pictures.
So I
when he
used
was
my
here.
yes.
Yeah, I got
I've
pictures.
got they're on my Instagram too.
Yes.
So using whatever assets, whatever resources to put the spotlight on what's happening here with our kids, with our communities, the good and the not so good. The not so good challenging. You've got assets, you have resources. If you are not stepping up to connect and make a difference here, we're watching.
Right. And
We're
shame on
watching.
you.
Yeah.
So
and you have a responsibility to do this. It really kind of comes down to Spider-Man. I used to tell my son this. It's like with great responsibility, with great power comes great responsibility. So when whatever you have, whatever little bit of a lot bit of privilege, you have a responsibility to share this and lift up others. So I will align myself with everyone or anyone on that school board who shares the same values, and I know there's several of them who do, and we will be a
How many votes
force
do you need? 6
on the front.
to carry anything? 6 now?
Yeah,
Need 6 because it's
11.
11. So you need 6 votes. You better make sure. I hope you make friends with everybody.
I will. Yeah,
You know, when you're
I will do my
elected,
best.
We're gonna
We're
gonna speak some stuff. I want to clear up the privilege thing. So let's just say this, because I can say this because I'm black female. Okay,
gorgeous black female.
Thank you very much. I am black female. I'm the underdog of all the underdogs. Okay, double minority. I'm black, and was born, raised poor. Wasn't nothing given to me. I didn't go to GPS, Macaulay, Baylor, all these
I
other
didn't either.
things. Yes, both my parents were very poor. High school dropouts. One went back to school. Yes, she did. My mom went back to nursing school. My daddy was afforded an opportunity as a grinder in the factories to go back and get a welding certification. Back when schools didn't have welding, they sent you to school for 12-week program and you got your welding license. Okay, so they rose above their challenges, and it inspired me to do that. But I get this all the time. I'm a black underdog. Your kids are privileged. And you know what? I say, you're right. They are privileged. You know, I will not apologize
for being
having the privilege of not just for myself, but the privilege of having the resources and being able to know some folk that know some folks to help some folk.
That's right.
So I'm going to take that.
Whatever it takes.
To know some folks, to help some folks.
I say
that's
by
the bottom line.
By any nonviolent means
by
necessary.
Any nonviolent means necessary. So yes, you can call me privileged, but watch what I do with my privilege.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not about being privileged. It's about what you do
with what you have.
With what you have.
That's right.
That's it right there. So call me privileged. And I'm going to tell you, yes, thank you very much, because with my privileges, I've helped thousands of people.
Yes, exactly. And that's who we need to be looking at to elect, to lift up. Those who are going to use, they're going to dig in their pockets, they're going to call, they're going to use whatever means they have available to them to empower and impact communities for good.
We have a moral obligation to do that.
Yes.
So that's what I want the people to know, that there is a moral obligation with this young lady. Because as you said, she's white. She don't have to give a darn about me, you, your mama, your daddy, your children, your grandchildren. She don't have to.
But I
It's
do.
inside of her.
If I did
It's her
not,
very essence.
it's my purpose.
Well, and it started from when you were
When I was a
girl.
child.
And her
That's right.
daddy,
Yes.
Mr. Ward Crutchfield, rest in peace. Your daddy.
So a little story about him.
Yeah.
He brought back in the 50s. This is how courageous he was when he was just a young statesman. Just I think he was in at the time he was in the House of Representatives, and then he moved to the Senate pretty much later. But this is 1950s, and he brought a young African American man onto the floor. This is how inspired back then. Back then, the 50s. This is before the heart of the civil rights
I
movement.
loved your daddy
It was
too.
about, and so he brought that African American man. That young man's name was C.B. Robinson, and he brought him onto the floor. And back then there were just a bunch of white guys looking at him, and they weren't like white guys wanting to use their privilege or anything for it to help anybody. They were just happy they were there and going to help their own. That's it. End of story. And there's my dad. No, not end of story. Meet C.B. Robinson. And they looked in shock and shaking their heads and jeering at him. And he stood up and he said, you know what? His name is C.B. Robinson. He's going to be back. Get used to it. I'm bringing him back.
Oh, come on now.
Yeah. And he got death threats. He got death threats for that. It's like crazy, right? But
Y'all
that's
don't
who he
know
is.
how many white people
That's who he was.
have stood in the gap for us black folk.
Yes.
Have gotten killed just like we did.
Yes.
Death threats, house burnt down to the ground just like we did, because they had a moral obligation, and it was
Yes.
in the essence of their soul to
Yes.
do right by people. And that, if you all remember Ward Crutchfield, I want you all to think of the fact, if you loved him to the day he died, you got his protege, his child, right here, that have watched him every step of the way, and he poured everything he had into her. That's not an endorsement, y'all. It's just the truth about this person sitting to my left that I know personally, because it's something about, you can feel a person. I know white folk. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
You can't fool Dr. Woods. I know white folk. Okay.
I have had conversations with a few people.
Yes.
They've said the same thing. They
you
go, I have a
cannot-
BS indicator and you're good.
I
I'm
got
like,
it.
thank you.
I got it. I'm
Thank
telling you. I've got that ability to discern white folk and black folk. But I'm going to talk about white folks because that's an issue here in this election. They brought it up. I didn't bring it up. I can discern. And your opponent's a good person too. So I'm not knocking her.
Yes, I know.
Okay. But I can discern when a white person is BSing me. Okay. I went to school with them. I went to dental school with them. I went to undergrad with them. I worked with them. I play with them. I got business relationships with them. We travel all around the world together with them. I've been on boards with them. I fed them. They fed me. I've been everywhere with them. You see, and I'm comfortable in my skin right now to tell you when I have been BS by a white person. I can tell you, I know their language. I know how they talk. I know how they look. I know how they squirm in the chair. I know how they get uncomfortable. I know how their face turn red as a tomato. I know all of that. This lady sitting next to me is not a BSer. This is a real white person right here that love black folks too, and poor people in general. Yeah. In general, those that have and have nots, those that are less fortunate. She's a human rights activist. I like that. We need a person in the school system, whether it's you or Jackie. We need somebody that's going to stand up for our babies and give them a chance and fight for them, even when it's not popular. That's what you got to do. People do things that is popular. If it ain't popular, they don't help because they feel like, the bullet's going to be at their head. But when you can stand up for something, even when you know it ain't popular, the threat or risk of you being killed yourself, that's a real activist. And I tell people that my children, like, Mom, you shouldn't be doing XYZ. Somebody's going to hurt you. I've had death threats. As president of the NAACP, I've had death threats. But you know what you tell them? If God sent you on an exercise, on an assignment to do something,
God's got your back.
And even if you die in the process of carrying out your assignment,
you fulfilled your purpose.
You have fulfilled your purpose.
That's right.
So you cannot be an activist
That's right.
and be afraid of
No.
anything,
No.
not even if it's death.
No. No.
And
Because
that's what I
you're
know
driven
about
by your
activists.
passion and purpose.
Your purpose drives you, and you already know one day someone may kill you. One day you may not make it home. One day this or one day that. You already know that. You've already accepted that. And then if you're close to God and you know God, you already know that however I die, if I die in his name, okay? If I die in his name, you just help me out if you kill me sooner, because guess what? I'm with him.
Well,
I'm with him. It don't matter. You can't kill an activist that love God. How can you kill him?
No, because Gandhi, Christ, Mandela, so many, the Buddha,
They still live
they're
on.
even more.
They still live
Even
on.
more.
You
Yes.
still live on. Martin Luther King is still living on.
Dr. King, yes. And he, if you see the iconic pictures of him in his office, and he has a picture of Gandhi behind him, Dr. King, so much of what he carried was really
Yes.
Christ's message. He on earth during the time probably carried the most of Christ's message
Absolutely.
of anybody in the world. But he said, Gandhi gave me the method, nonviolence, and Jesus gave me the message.
All right.
I
So
know.
tell us 3 things that you're going to do. You're elected. Now you've won this election and you got to go to work. Give me 3 things you want to see accomplished in this first term as the school board representative for District 4. 3 things that you're going to chop at right away. What is it?
Okay. And then I'm going to let Nicole say a few things afterward, because she's probably going to want to direct people to find out more
Yes.
about us too. But one of the most important things to me is to make sure that our kids have free breakfast and lunch. Bradley County has done that. There's no excuse for Hamilton County to not, whether you're a Title I school or not, we need to have free breakfast and lunch for our kids. They can't learn if they're hungry.
You got that right.
Now, I want to do one more, and that is to make better options on those plates, because I'm not thrilled with a lot of the what I'm seeing, hearing about that are on the plates and school lunches. We need more plant-based alternatives, plant-based options on those lunch plates, fruits, vegetables, things that are going to help fight type 2
nutritious
diabetes.
things.
And
Curb
because
diabetes and some of the obesity issues we're dealing
our
with.
kids, for the first time in history, about 10, 12 years ago, we started learning that our kids are getting type 2 diabetes. This is an older person disease. This should never have happened with young people. But because of the processed foods and the junk foods, including some of the stuff that they're getting in the cafeterias. So we got to turn this thing around. Or what they said back 12 years ago when they were finding this out is that also, in the first time in history, our kids are not going to live as long as the adults, as their parents.
Right.
And that's a tragedy.
So you
we
want to tackle that problem with
So
the
I
lunch.
called the Humane Society of the United, because I do animal rights work too. And they're, excuse me, they're about more than just puppies and dogs. They have actually been doing a lot of work across the country with school boards in states and in counties where they welcome them in. And they said, Missy, when you're elected, reach out to us. We will fly on their dime, their chef, to come in to meet with our district cooks. And I'm like, I want you to meet with all of the districts. I want Hamilton County to be a pilot for the state of Tennessee and even beyond. All the districts have a countywide, citywide meeting with the cooks. They're going to show healthy eating, give them recipes. This is all on their
Put
dime.
nutrition back in the program.
Yes. And they're going to show cost savings. Now, what can we do with
I was
those
going to
cost
ask you about
savings?
that. Things are expensive when you start eating better.
We're going to
So how
save.
you going to save the
They're
money?
going to show us how to do this. So where will that then parlay into how we can help our schools? We're saving money. So what can we do with the savings? That's the next connection. That's the next question I'm going to ask, because I'm a connector. I'm looking at connections. So what I also want to do is find our chefs who are invested in this in local restaurants and markets, and get them in this conversation when they fly in, so that the whole community, the city, the county, is involved, is rolling their sleeves up, looking at food in a new way, in a different way. So and the parents, educate the parents and the restaurants.
Because when they go home, they're going to get their barbecue rib and them hamburgers.
So let's
and
think
them
twice
French fries
about this.
and them eggs and bacon.
So let's get the parents.
What you gonna do about that home stuff?
Nobody can beat you down better than a kid. Let's face it. So when we sell these kids on this, they're going to go home and they're going to beat on their parents and say, I want those healthy food options. So miraculously, we're going to get healthier citizens across the city and county.
All right, that's a task. Okay, so that's one thing. We're going to have healthier food. Number two,
we need to get arts back more in the curriculum.
I agree.
So we know back in the 70s when they pulled the arts out, I was talking with arts build. Now it's arts build now. It was Allied Arts back several years ago, and Marilyn Harrison was the person I was having a conversation. She said
Mhm.
back in the 70s they pulled the arts out of the curriculum, and that's when public education started falling apart
Ah,
because we learn faster and we remember longer, we retain longer when we use the arts. So why wouldn't so the arts are just creative ways, using your imagination, using creativity, yes, certain disciplines, but why wouldn't we find ways to connect math, science, English, everything across the curriculum using the arts
yes.
and engaging, partnering with Arts Build and finding ways to use more artists, get more partnerships with
Love it.
schools. We have some already. We need more.
I
we
love it.
we also need we've got to support our teachers. We're losing teachers. We're hemorrhaging teachers. We've got to take care of that. We've got to pay our teachers better. We have to have better resources for our teachers. We have to listen to our teachers, and we have to find ways to intervene and discipline. Too many of our teachers are having to control larger classrooms that are out of control. And a lot of this has to do with, classroom size and some other things. But our kids are coming to school troubled. Harvard did a study 3 years ago or so that said at any given time, 50% of us are suffering from mental illness.
Mhm.
That means our kids are
So
suffering
you
from
suggesting
mental
that we
illness.
have a mental illness crisis
Counselors,
counselor,
connection.
so that's going to be a money issue.
Yeah.
Because they've tried this. They used to have social workers in the school system,
And
they didn't have the money for it.
and Brown has done an incredible job of using some discretionary funds and making those part-time positions full-time. So I want to look at the schools
Look at that model.
are having the success model and found ways to do it and pressure system-wide to be able to put these in place, because when our kids can't get the help, then they can't focus in the classroom, and when the classroom goes back, then our schools fail. So this is something that we're going to invest in up front that's going to pay up dividends.
I think you could probably partner with the district attorney's office, because I know that District Attorney Cody Wamp is really big on that, the mental piece
I
of,
love
the
that.
criminal justice
Absolutely.
system, and dealing with the people who are abusing drugs and that kind of thing,
Yes.
getting them the help that they
Yes.
need. That might be a partnership and
Look
conversation
forward to
that
talking
you
with
need to
her.
have, and because I know the school and the county have to work together,
Yes.
because
Yes.
the school is the county.
Yes.
And so when it comes to the money, that justice money
Yes.
can be shared
Yes.
over here on this
in
side,
partnerships that make
in
sense.
partnerships that make sense. Doesn't have to all go to gun control. What about in the classroom to help these
And
kids?
speaking of guns, I am so against any idea of arming our teachers. I think that's insanity. It's like we're looking at everything but what might work in the
Mhm.
schools. And the we're going to be traveling up to Nashville with Moms Demand Action
Yes.
against gun violence on Tuesday.
We just keep having one episode
Yeah.
after the other, mass shootings and murders and things all across this country. Just go ahead, just arm the teachers, because
Yeah.
that's next. Then the teachers will have a crisis. I mean, it's just going to
Well,
get
and
worse
what's
and
law
worse.
enforcement
You
going to
have to
do when they
stop
go
it.
into school and every teacher's got a gun? I mean, that's just asking.
Well, everybody's got a
for-
gun now, because now you don't have to, apply for it. Apparently, you can just,
We
go
gotta
get
get
it. You don't have to get a clearance now. Everybody got a right to carry a gun.
Right.
It's no end to this madness. So that's on the humanitarian side of you.
And as a school board member, some of the things that we're talking about aren't necessarily or aren't the responsibilities of school board. But what is important to me is beyond that, those things that I have to check in the box. Most of our budget is about facilities. So
Mhm.
yes, I'm going to make sure that the facilities, especially that have safety issues, are going to stay on the priority and even move up. I think too many times some of the schools have been ignored or pushed back when they've
Mhm.
waited their fair time. So
Decades.
whether they're in my district or not, if there's asbestos issues or leaking roofs, that if you put that off, that's going to be exponentially more in the
Mhm.
future. I know that. I do property management. So some of these things, I bring that to the table.
Mhm.
We've got to address, and that's the biggest part of a school board member is policy and voting on facilities repair and new facilities. But beyond that, I am an activist. I will use my platform and my voice to find any way, anything, any partners to connect for good in my community and across the county.
I love it. That's a good note to end on, because here, and we got to let you talk.
Nicole.
Because yeah, you got to you got to weigh in on
Give
this.
you
We
a
got
break.
about 10 minutes left, so you got time
Good.
to talk. Yeah, you got time to get it in.
Oh, great. Thank
tell
you
us
so
who
much
you
for that
are.
generosity.
Tell us who you are with reference
Can
to
you-
Missy.
Can you hear the sarcasm in my voice?
Right.
Okay,
I
okay.
hear it. You're turning. I see your face turning now. She can get
Uh-oh.
embarrassed. She
It's
get
not-
embarrassed.
It's the blush.
Oh,
It's-
you got blush on.
I'm not turning red because I'm doing
Okay.
anything,
Okay.
shady here.
I believe that she's tough. Yeah, I heard. Yeah. Okay.
I am. I'm a more of a behind the scenes fighter. That's
Tell
where
us what
that's
you are to Missy. 'Cause
yeah.
Everybody wants
So
to know.
yeah. So my name is Nicole McDermott, and I'm Missy's campaign manager. And I'm really excited to be here today with you guys. This is pretty cool. I'm really enjoying this. You can find us pretty much everywhere at Elect Missy Crutchfield. So electmissycrutchfield.com and on all of the socials.
Give us your hashtags if we could put that up on the screen, and it'll be a part of the taping.
Yeah.
So
Elect Missy Crutchfield is what I'd like to add. And I just have to say I am not a person who historically loves politicians. I in the past
You're
I've
a
probably
good person. That's what it is.
well, and maybe some people can relate to this, but I've never seen myself as a joiner.
Mhm.
I'm not really somebody who joins up
You're a
to
leader.
different. I like to live
Mhm.
outside of organizations. I feel like that keeps me honest, and
Yes.
it keeps me what's the word for it? Unbiased.
Mhm.
When I'm
Mhm.
not working within an organization. So I think I've intentionally stayed outside of politics, but as you can hear from this conversation today, Missy is just a different kind of politician.
She really is.
I mean, she's really not. She's an activist, and she said that.
Your daddy being reincarnated through you, girl.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that there are quite a few other candidates this year, especially, but that have come forward in the last few years who are a lot like Missy in the sense that they're not your traditional politician who's just looking for a job, like looking for a place where they can get in and just hang out and get comfortable and get complacent. I'm
looking for status.
Looking
when
for
you've already got
status.
your status, you
Right.
don't go for that kind of
Right.
stuff. 'Cause
I
the more
think
status you have, the more work it is.
Right.
People don't understand that.
yes, indeed, indeed, and I think I think people like me were kind of over that,
Mhm.
and that group is growing. The people who
Yes.
are just kind of over that kind of person and that kind of politician, and we're looking for something that feels different. So we have quite a few people running this year. Allison Gorman, Jack Allen for Congress is going to give Chucky Boy a run for his money. So I'm super excited about that. And then we got Keisha Cheeks running for Circuit Court.
Judge. Mhm.
Yeah, real excited about Keisha. And then we've got some other school board candidates that are coming on in traditionally red districts. And so we've got Tammy Barnes up in District 1. And so mostly Saudi Daisy.
First time a Democrats run there, and
ever maybe, I don't know. And then we've got Angie Stone Jackson out in Ooltewah. That's District 10. Is that right? 10. Yeah.
So I'm gonna put a disclaimer out there again because we're pushing the Democratic political nominees right now, but we're gonna have an opportunity to list all the candidates that are running, and then have an opportunity if they would like to come on the show. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. We keep it real here. And all of us have biases to some degree, based on our personal experiences and our just in general environment where we live. So we all have biases. So it would be wrong to say that we don't have biases, but we want to be fair in our biases. So if anybody's out there and you're listening, because there are tons of people listening to you right now, you know that. We're here today to talk about Missy and why she's going to be the great candidate and the great school board representative for District 4. And they're telling me we got 2 minutes remaining. So in 2 minutes,
I'm gonna leave this with Missy.
So what Nicole was saying is that we were just kind of sharing some candidates that are out there that we have gotten to know, that we believe in, that we believe are in that same cloth of working tirelessly for justice and caring and sharing those same values. A different kind of candidate is emerging, and that is so exciting. We're
Yes.
also trying to inspire people to register to vote and to think about running themselves. So that's something else that I want to do, is to try to lift up and really try to reach in. I've got a few people I got my eyes on, particularly in the African American community, young people that I'm trying to groom in the not too distant
Awesome.
future to run. Yeah. So
Okay.
looking at connecting the dots, that future for building diversity, inclusion, and equity, and beyond. So just look at the person, vet their heart, vet their soul, check with their values and see, is this person in the short run and the long run going to work for building the kind of community that I want, that I believe in, that will free us all to be that one human family, that one family in Chattanooga and Tennessee, and then connecting across the country to raise awareness for the oppressed and the disadvantaged and the less privileged, and those who are just who want to, we all want to have safety in our communities. We all want good schools. We all want, to have food on the table. And when one doesn't have it, then there's going to be problems. There's more than enough to share. We've got to get rid of this mindset of
Yes.
not enough, not enough. We have enough. We just have to reach into our hearts and believe, and stop focusing on this different mindset. We need to have a mindset of gratitude and gratitude and having enough abundance. Thank you. And sharing abundance. That's what I was searching for.
Well, I'm gonna amen that. And that's an awesome way to end our show today. You all know that this is Saturday, and you all know how I end my show. Tomorrow is Sunday. We have to thank the Lord for all the blessings that He's given all of us. And if you don't have a church, you're always invited to Greater Emmanuel Apostolic Church, located at 400 Tunnel Boulevard, where Pastor Paul Warfield Jr. is our pastor. And you know what? You can't get to a church. You may not have transportation, or maybe you're bedridden. I don't know. Or maybe you got some stuff going on. You can't get to church. You know what I love? Most churches are now being live streamed. So you can go to church virtually right from your bedroom. Right, if you're in the kitchen cooking dinner because you got some folks coming over for Sunday evening, go ahead and cook your dinner. Flip that TV on. Turn to one of the churches that you want to hear and listen to them, and praise the Lord from your house. You can do it right from your living room, your bedroom. I know some people got televisions and computers and things in their bathroom. I mean, wherever. Just be sure to give the Lord thanks, because He's worthy of that. And if I know you can thank Him, because if you woke up and you're listening to me, you could have been dead, sleeping in your grave. You're closed in your right mind, so you can understand me. You could be, not in your right mind, but you are. So I just want to tell everybody, be grateful. I'm grateful. They're grateful. We're all grateful. We're all blessed in this wonderful world that we live in. And so be sure to give God some glory and praise Him for that. In Jesus' name, we pray that that everybody will be grateful and thankful for the blessings that they have. And until today, oh my God, I better not forget this. Today, the movie premiere, Unsaved, is going to be held right here at the Chattanooga Civic Center at Mountainside, where the infamous filmmaker Devon Cooper Sr. is the movie director, filmmaker, just an amazing entrepreneur. He's going to premiere his movie Unsaved right here today. Starting at 5:00, the doors are open with cocktails and mingling and red carpet and dinner. And then around 6:00, we have a comedian out of Atlanta that will be here to give us googles and giggles. And then at 7:00, the movie is going to show y'all. No one has seen this movie. Parts of this movie was shot right here in Chattanooga. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see the movie. It's going to be today from 5:00. And then also it's going to premiere again tomorrow. So for those who can't come out today, please feel free to come tomorrow, Sunday. The tickets are online at eventbrite.com under Unsaved in the city of Chattanooga. $30, you get a movie, dinner, a comedy show, and all that good fellowshipping here.
We'll be here.
Yeah, oh, Missy's team is going to be here tonight. We're going to have an amazing time. I know I've heard and talked to a lot of folks. Yes, it's rated PG-13, so you know